Here we are traveling into space, and I'm Kass Thomas, and I'm here today with Dr. Steve Comer from Utah and from the world. Steve is a chiropractor, is also a massage therapist, was a personal trainer, access learning facilitator, and a magician of sorts with bodies. So we're going to hear a little bit about that from Steve Comer. They say, and I know, that you have a magic with bodies. What does that mean?
To me, what comes up when you ask me the question is, you talk about magic being consciousness in action. So, for example, if your reality is this box, anything that happens outside of that box that you cannot confine in the box, we consider would be magic. So, it's a willingness to be and function outside of the box.
Does that have anything to do with coincidences?
Coincidences, yeah, there's a lot of things that we're not willing to be aware of, and when the stars align, when the circumstances, when the situations are correct, then we don't have an explanation for it, and it's not linear. It doesn't fit the confines of our box. We say it's magic.
Okay, so when you say the box, you're not referring to your body as a box, so are you? No.
Great question. I would say the box would be more of our reality, our personal reality.
Okay, so when you talk about this box, you're not referring to the body as a box, are you? So how does this box or this reality relate to our bodies? How does that work?
Well, in this sense, the box is kind of how we view the world and what we're willing to be aware of. It's another term would be a zone of awareness that we're willing to have. Our points of view create a filtering system, and it shows up on how we receive input, how we receive the world. So we have this filtering system based on decisions and judgments, and we create this box based on this filter and the points of view and the conclusions that we come to based on the points of view that we receive.
Okay, I get all that. How does it relate to the body?
The body
That's
is
the part I'm missing.
yeah, well, see, your point of view creates your experience. Your experience is very much in this reality. Your body is the vehicle in which we, cruise in and out of this reality on this planet. So it can be the effect of our points of view, depending on what the point of view is and how significant we make it.
So our bodies can be the effect of our points of view. Explain.
Okay, so we talk about reality, going back to this box. In a reality, we define it as anywhere you're aligning and agreeing with a point of view. So for example, a very common one in these times is the economic anxiety, the economic crisis that seems to be almost global at this point, but in the United States it's very, very amped up right now. Well, the more people that align and agree with a point of view that there is an economic crisis, the more energy goes into creating that as a reality for people. Okay, this has an effect on the body because it creates a situation where we're going into survival, we're going into defense, or we're going into scarcity, and those points of view, being in that energy, directly affects our bodies and how our bodies are willing to function.
So for example, someone agreeing with the economic crisis that they see all around them, would it be visible how it affects the body?
If you're willing to see it, it is. It can actually directly affect somebody's posture.
Okay.
They call this a defense posture with the hunchback, and there's like you're trying to protect yourself from something.
Right.
If you're more open and you're more vulnerable, you're more willing to receive, you tend to have a straighter posture, be more open, the shoulders are more open. So it can affect the posture. It affects the body directly, and just by asking the body, what it's experiencing, you can get a sense of the energy of where that person is functioning from.
Okay, two things.
Yes.
For one, I want to say, normally one thinks of vulnerability as a weak posture, not a defense. So I don't know if you want to address that. But you said asking the body.
Yes.
So,
Okay. Well,
just the question's obvious.
Right.
How does that happen?
Okay.
Is that what you do then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you could look at this as a body whisperer or something.
Right. Exactly.
What's
Right. What I got.
And the reason, the thing is, I'm just willing to function outside of the box. And as you say, I have magic with bodies. For me, it's just a willingness to get outside the lines. As a kid, I always colored outside the lines, and in the reference with the bodies, I'm also willing to be that space, to look out of the context, out of the normal, and look at energetically what's going on with the body. So this vulnerability that I speak of is, as we talk about it, is being the openness. It's putting the barriers down. It's being the open sword, where you're even more sensitive, you're even more aware. It's misidentified and misapplied very commonly as a weakness, but we look at it as more of an ultimate potency or strength when you're willing to be that vulnerable. That vulnerability would allow you to actually access what your body's trying to facilitate for you, or the awareness that it has. Because see, our bodies are receiving information all the time, awareness. And it's us, based on our points of view and the decisions that we have, that determine how much of that we're willing to receive.
Mm-hmm. And how big or small the box is then.
Exactly.
That creates our
and
reality.
how expansive you're willing to be, or how contracted you're willing to be.
Right.
The more fixed points of view, the more answer, the more conclusion that you function from, the more the space is going to be contracted, and the more that's going to impact or affect the body.
So, some examples of some things that direct correlations between the way someone sees their reality and how that affects their body, or how that showed up on their body?
Yeah. Well, people buy points of view, say from their parents very early on, and sometimes it's not even conscious, but they see their parents functioning with their body or relating with their body in a certain way. So say, as a child, you perceived your father, he worked out a lot, and this was important to him, and he was very identified with how his body looked. And you see this is pretty common, to where somebody's self-value is based on how they perceive themselves. So you can see people getting into, working out. It can be an obsession, it can be an addiction for people. Well, I would start to ask questions to find out what the point of view is that's creating that as their experience. And by asking the question, the energy shows up, and they may become aware of, oh, well, this is not even my point of view, this is my dad's point of view. That your worth is based on, how your body looks and what kind of shape it's in, that kind of thing. So we look at ways of clearing these points of view so that something else can show up, so that there can actually be more ease and more communion with somebody's body.